Welcome back to the Enfield Talking newspaper. Now we return to local news with Janet.
A childhood passion for nature and the love of the magic of growing attracted Middleton House's new head gardener to the career. Filling the Wellington boots of his predecessor, Andrew Turvey, James Hall has assumed the horticultural helm at the grounds originally transformed by E.A. Bowles, one of Britain's most famous self-taught gardeners, artists and botanists. James, 34, grew up in Yorkshire and spent his early years in the countryside. There inspired it to a lifelong love of flora and fauna. I would get home from school and be out there all evening, making tree houses and playing in ponds, only appearing at the front door for food before heading out again. He told the Advertiser, "Biology was my favourite subject at school." A job studying moths under microscopes in a laboratory proved a step too far away from James's outdoor learnings, and it wasn't until he began to grow bits and pieces of vegetables on a patch of waste ground near his shared house that the possibility of a career in horticulture struck. He said, "I bought some flower seeds and a few vegetable seeds and just started growing things without really knowing what I was doing. When things began to sprout, it was like magic." Research trips to Sweden, Norway and Scotland and Ireland followed before James landed a Royal Horticultural Traineeship at Harlow Carr Gardens in Harrogate, North Yorkshire. This stint sealed the deal. "It was one of the best things I've ever done in my life," he said. "It was so exciting and I learned so much." Then it was a time for a journey down south, taking up a 3-year apprenticeship at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, before going on to tend a private garden in Highgate in North London. When the position at Middleton House in Bulls Cross, Enfield cropped up this year, James jumped at the chance. From the unusual plants nestling in the lunatic asylum and the restored kitchen garden to the cheery alpine meadow and the snowdrop collection, which draws crowds each year, Middleton House packs a punch in terms of horticultural diversity. "I couldn't help but feel captivated when I came here," he said, gesturing around the gardens, a riotous tapestry of vegetables and flowers as they stand poised to head into summer. "There's a little bit of everything here, and so many different microclimates. The diversity of plants is incredible." So, what are his plans? "I would like to work at preserving what we have and make that as good as possible. I'm looking forward to working with the E.A. Bowles of Middleton House Society and the local horticultural groups to push the gardens forward. Also with the brilliant volunteers we have here. There are 30 of them. But first of all, I want to get to know the gardens inside out."
Politicians are being urged to help end the freeze on funding for Enfield Public Health. Enfield Over 50s Forum has asked the borough's 3 MPs to lend their weight to calls for an increase to the £14.2 million budget the public health body was granted in 2014. It wants Southgate Conservative MP David Burrows, Enfield North Labour MP Joan Ryan, who was returned to Parliament after last month's election, and new Edmonton MP Labour's Kate Ossamore to press for more money to help improve people's health in the borough. Enfield Public Health has responsibility for promoting healthy lifestyles and tackling health problems including obesity, smoking, drug abuse and excess alcohol use. Responsibility for promoting public health was devolved to local authorities as part of the reorganisation of the NHS in April 2013. Monty Meath, the forum's president, said, "The forum cannot understand this anomaly in funding when we all need the services provided by public health to be available all the time, while NHS primary care is only required some of the time." He compared the freeze in funds with the £24.1 million increase to the 2015/16 budget of Enfield CCG, which commissions the majority of GP services. The CCG has an overall budget of £360.7 million, he said. Mr. Meath said, "The Forum is calling on the MPs for help because Public Health England, which supervises all local public health bodies, says it has no control over local funding." He added that Enfield's grant works out at £43 per person, compared with £68 for people in Haringey and £133 for Kensington and Chelsea residents. He said the critical importance of securing more funding for public health can be judged by the 20% of deaths of Enfield residents still being related to smoking, and that the cost to the borough of obesity and overweight people across all ages is estimated to be £84 million a year.
A second club legend has decided to move on from Enfield Town Football Club in as many weeks after record goal scorer Liam Hope revealed that he was leaving the Ryman Premier Division outfit. Skipper Mark Kirby ended his 6-year stay with Town by signing for Hendon, and Hope has also chosen to look for a new challenge after saying farewell to a club he first joined in November 2009. The striker quickly made an impact after arriving from North Lee and went on to make a total of 252 appearances for the club, scoring 108 goals to break Rudy Hall's club record. Hope was Town's leading scorer for 4 successive years, playing a pivotal role in their promotion to the Ryman Premier Division in 2012. But he struggled for fitness for a spell last season and found it hard to break into the starting lineup after that. He said, "Having joined the club back in 2009, I could not have imagined the fantastic memories I would go on to create through my time at the club, and there are too many to list. Enfield Town is a unique club in so many ways, and the support I have received from everyone continuously during my time at the club has been unbelievable. I have been able to achieve some great team and personal milestones, all of which I will always cherish and be proud of. Regrettably, it is now clear that it's time for me to look for a new challenge as we move into a new season. The club has continued to progress every year that I have been there, and I'm sure that with the backing of such fantastic members and supporters, this will continue long into the future." Hope added, "I'd like to thank everyone who made it such an enjoyable club for me to play my football for over the past 6 years, including all the players, the kit men for always looking after me, volunteers, managers, sponsors and supporters. Enfield Town will always be the result I will look for first on a Saturday evening, and I'm honoured to have played a small part in the history of what I believe to be the best non-league club around. Enfield Town are hoping to retain their first choice forward line from last season, with Corey Whiteley and Bobby Devine being offered deals for the coming campaign."
A great-grandmother who has been forced to confine herself to the ground floor of her home is celebrating after her housing association agreed to install stairlift in her townhouse after 4 years of lobbying. Margaret Mitchell, 72, of Durrance Road, Ponders End, suffers from crippling osteoporosis, and after 2 knee operations was struggling with 3 flights of stairs in her 4-storey home. 4 years ago, she was able to negotiate the stairs by walking sideways or even sometimes backwards down the flights. However, as the pain in her legs grew worse, she was forced to spend most of her days in the kitchen on the lower level. Years ago, we moved the kitchen to the ground floor, and so I would spend most of my time down there in the kitchen. I would do what I had to do upstairs and then go downstairs and spend the rest of the day down there. When she and Paul, her husband of 33 years, approached Sanctuary Housing for help, they were told there was no way that stair lifts could be installed, so that the great-grandmother of 2 and grandmother of 7 would be able to get round her own home. "They could offer nothing to me," said Mrs. Mitchell. "Originally we wanted to move, but we need to be near amenities, and they had absolutely nothing. Faced with spending her time living as a prisoner in her own home, confined to just one room, she approached Age UK Enfield, who immediately took up her case. What followed was 4 years of steady lobbying of the Housing Association. Age UK were absolutely brilliant, and Andy Love, Mrs Mitchell's then MP for Edmonton, she said they were her mouthpiece. Even after Mr Love stepped down from Parliament, he made sure he saw this through. The charity sought help from Mr Love, and together they lobbied the Housing Association, explaining that Mrs Mitchell could not be expected to live in just one corner of her home. Finally, the Mitchells saw 4 years of hard work pay off when the stair lifts were finally installed. "I'm more than grateful for it," said Mrs Mitchell. "It's made my life so much easier. For the first time in years, I can use the whole of the house, and I'm not confined to the ground floor." Lindy Colson, patron of Age UK Enfield, said, "I'm always so amazed by the wide range of complex individual issues that this service has to deal with. We knew that Margaret was being given the runaround with red tape and difficult policies, but I'm delighted that the result of our persistence, Margaret is able to live safely in the comfort of her own home."
A vineyard was given a helping hand by the world's biggest wine company. Employees from Treasury Wine Estates, TWE, visited 40 Hall Vineyard, Enfield, to help volunteers with 2 days of clearing weeds and adding compost to the soil. The 10-acre vineyard produces still and sparkling wine and is the first commercial-scale vineyard in London since the Middle Ages. Dan Townsend, General Manager, UK and Western Europe at TWE, said, "When considering local charities to support, we looked for one local to our Twickenham head office, but we also wanted to find one that had a great link to the wine industry, and especially the burgeoning English wine industry." The project at 40 Hall Vineyard is incredibly impressive. It demonstrates not only a commitment to good viticultural practice, but also engagement with its local community. The volunteer days were incredibly rewarding for the team, and we look forward to building our relationship with 40 Hall Vineyard in the coming years. Sarah Vaughan-Roberts, manager at 40 Hall Vineyard, said, "It has been fantastic to welcome 2 volunteer groups from TWE over the past week. They worked amazingly hard, and the product of their work was a real morale booster for all the team here." TWE is clearly a company that is passionate about wine, but at the end of their day's work, they also understood some of the great charitable work we are trying to do here with the local community, as well as seeking to produce some of the best English wine on the market.
Majestic heavy horses transported folk back to a time before horsepower was associated with what's under a car's bonnet, instead of at the end of the reins of a cart or plough. The giants of the equine world were the star attractions at Capel Manor Gardens in Balsmore Lane, Enfield, when Hertfordshire Heavy Horses Association held its annual show. More than 20 of the magnificent horses, along with an assortment of coaches and carriages, plus glittering polished brass harnesses and agricultural implements of all shapes and sizes, helped recreate our rural heritage. Among the breeds parading were Clydesdales, Shires and 2 French breeds, Percherons and Comtois. Individual breeds were judged, together with categories for horses in harnesses and horses pulling carts, traps and agricultural equipment. There was also an obstacle course competition, a dog agility display and demonstrations by a farrier. Despite some rain, it couldn't dampen the spirits of the crowd. It was a brilliant day, said Hertfordshire Heavy Horse Association Chairman John Sparks.
The supermarket staff transformed a mental health group's garden. Workers at Tesco in Ponders End High Street, Lee Valley Extra and Freezy Water set to work on the garden at One Housing in Southbury Road, Enfield, even digging a vegetable patch. Staff painted fences, weeded flower beds and planted a plethora of vegetables in the 2-day project as part of the National Mental Health Awareness Week. Maurice Thomas, Enfield Borough Community Chairman for Tesco, said, "We are delighted to have supported the fantastic work of One Housing. We hope the local community will enjoy the new garden, especially with summer shortly approaching, and we look forward to working with One Housing in the future." Victor Brown, Senior Team Manager at One Housing, added, "We work together with our customers to make sure we help them develop their skills, raise their aspirations and move them towards independent living. The gardening project was a great opportunity for our customers to get involved and work alongside the staff at Tesco's to create a beautiful garden."
Council chiefs have rubbished accusations that they are standing by as fly-tipped garbage piles up on the borough's streets. Accusations that Labour councillors are in denial about a rise in fly-tipping in the east of the borough have been rebuffed as political point-scoring by Daniel Anderson, the new Cabinet Chief for Environment. Tory councillors launched a social media drive calling on the council to #CleanUpEnfield, calling on the council to own the issue. In a statement issued to the Advertiser, Joanne Laban, the Conservatives' spokeswoman for the environment, said fly-tipping problems could be solved by letting residents report it on social media rather than via the council website. She said, "The response we have had from the Labour Council is not to admit there is a problem, but simply to say people should report it via the council website instead of social media. While that works for some people, how much easier would it be if residents could take a picture on their phone when they are out and about and then immediately use Twitter, Facebook or WhatsApp to submit it? We urge the public to continue to tweet the images of fly tips to highlight the growing issue, embarrass those who dump rubbish in our borough and put pressure on the Labour Council to own the issue." Mr Anderson responded, "Nationally, Enfield comes second when it comes to the reporting of fly tips. We spend the 5th highest amount nationally on clearing fly tips, the vast majority of which are cleared before they are even reported, and we are the 2nd highest for the amount of fines administered. My biggest concern is that by over-egging the souffle, Councillor Laban is undermining Enfield's reputation as a borough to do business, and she should stop playing party games. Anyone wishing to report fly tipping should log on to the council website www.enfield.gov.uk and fill out a reporting form."
Now here's an item about our local rugby team, Saracens, who were crowned champions of England for just the 2nd time in their history as they secured a thoroughly deserved 28-16 win over Bath in the Aviva Premiership final at Twickenham. A blistering start set Sarries on their way to their triumph as tries from Owen Farrell and Jamie George enabled them to race to a 12-0 lead inside 15 minutes. Chris Wiles added a 3rd try as Mark McCall's men went into the interval 25-3 ahead. And although Bath rallied well at the start of the second half, Sarries held firm to take the title and add to their triumph in 2011. It's been great to be in 4 finals in 6 years, and now it's great that we have won 2 of them, Director of Rugby Mark McCall said. After the pain and hurt of last season, it's been a heck of a journey, but to perform like we did in the first half was exceptional. Bath were always going to come back in the second half, and they showed what they were capable of. We did a couple of dumb things, but hung in there, and we are absolutely thrilled to win. Man of the match, Owen Farrell, who kicked 13 points to add to his try, added, "It's been a good season for us. We've had to work hard to get where we are today, but that has pulled us together as a group and made us tighter and work harder. We built a good lead, but we had to stay on it in the second half. We knew they were going to come at us and throw everything at us, but thankfully we did our job and got the win. Meanwhile, Sarries have confirmed that England international wing David Strettle, their record try scorer in the Premiership, is leaving to join French side Clermont-Auvergne.
A community group brought back a feel-good factor to Enfield Town. Love Your Doorstep, along with Art Start and Come Away with the Fairies, invited people to design their own art on the streets of Enfield Town Centre, write their own messages about the borough on the pavement. Wet weather could not put off those who wanted to take part in the special street art day. Emma Rigby, founder of Love Your Doorstep, said, "It was a great day and it brought back the feel-good factor to Enfield Town Centre. We had people from all age coming to chip in and write their positive messages and draw what they like. The rain didn't put them off." More than 80 people took part in the event, and Mrs. Rigby is hoping that this will not be the last time the group hosts the day. She said this is one of the first of its kind in the borough and shows we are at the heart of the community. It would be great to do this again in other parts of the borough.
The first meeting of a group looking to preserve the future of Trent Park Mansion has taken place. The Grade 2 listed building was bought by a Malaysian university from Middlesex University for £30 million in August 2013. The Malaysian university hoped to create a new campus at the site, but no work has taken place and the building is now in the hands of receivers. Enfield Council has set up a working group to try to safeguard the mansion's future after it rejected a bid to list the building as an asset of community value. The cross-party group met last Tuesday. Conservative councillors Jason Charalambous, Terry Neville and Joanne Laban said, "We are pleased the council has finally listened to overwhelming public concern about the site in establishing this working group. We hope the council will now take proactive steps to secure long-term public access and a future educational element to the site and promote the significant Second World War heritage. We will maintain the pressure on Enfield Council to ensure public demands are met." A council spokeswoman said the group would work closely with residents to explore all options available.
A woman who falsely claimed more than £27,000 in benefits has been sentenced to community service. Carol Riley, 46, of Goldsdown Close, Brimsdown, failed to declare that the home she lived in was owned by her mother. She pleaded guilty to 2 charges under the Social Security Administration Act of falsely claiming housing benefit. Wood Green Crown Court heard Ms Riley told Enfield Council she was not related to her landlord when she made a claim for housing benefit. Ms Riley's entitlement to income support had also ceased, but she had not told the council and continued to receive her housing benefit payments. She was found to be overpaid housing benefit of £27,885 and council tax benefit of £1,312, which the council is in the process of recovering from her. Cabinet Member for Finance and Efficiency, Councillor Andrew Stafford, said, "In fraud cases we often see claimants pretending to not know their landlords in order to get housing benefits. Our assessors constantly check such claims, and this is how fraudsters, such as Ms Riley, come to light. Lying to the authorities is not worth it. You will be caught and prosecuted, and Enfield Council will make every effort to recover every penny stolen."
A group of school children are putting together their own book of poetry. Pupils at Arc John Keats Academy in Bell Lane, Enfield, are starting to write the book, which has yet to be given a title. The school is named after the poet John Keats, and staff hope the book will help pupils learn about poetry. Head teacher Amy Baird said, "We have very high expectations of our pupils and we want learning to be fun. The poetry book will give them something that they can be proud of in years to come." We want our pupils to know that anything is achievable, and we are hoping it will be the first of many projects. Every Year 1 student will be given the opportunity to contribute to the book, both individually and in groups. There will also be contributions from Year 1 teachers and teaching assistant. The book will be released later in the year.
Enfield is to become the first borough in London to introduce a new system to catch burglars. The borough will launch the Met Trace scheme Smart Water, which uses a liquid that leaves a permanent, unique trace on every item so it can be returned to its owner. Smart Water is invisible to the naked eye, but shows up under ultraviolet light, which means the police can identify when an item has been stolen and link the property back to its owner. There are plans to issue more than 27,000 homes with Smart Water kits over 3 years. Enfield Council and Enfield Police are hoping to build on the success of the Safe as Houses scheme, which provided anti-burglary products to residents and saw a 35% reduction in burglary.
Michael Stevens shone with bat and ball as local cricket club Southgate overcame Richmond by 30 runs to record their first win of the season in the top flight of the Middlesex County Cricket League. Facing a Richmond side who went into the match with a 100% record, Southgate initially struggled as they fell to 36 for 3 before Stevens, 48, and Ayush Sohota, 25, added 71 for the fourth wicket to give them the upper hand. Another collapse followed after their stand had been broken, but Suresh Kalagara and Dave Wolfenden added a critical 32 for the last wicket to take them up to a total of 171. It was a very good performance, said skipper Fazil Mir. We have now reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Janet, Sally and Keith and Robin on the controls, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diana Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking newspaper. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.